Egypt's new government is assuming the responsibility and leadership that has long made this country a cornerstone of regional stability and peace. States will work with partners across the region to consolidate this progress, improve conditions for the people of Gaza, provide security for the people of Israel.
We implemented military force, but also political wisdom. I know there are those who expect a more intense military response that may be needed. At this time, the right thing is to exhaust the opportunity to obtain a long-term ceasefire.
And it sounds like, Charles, that Prime Minister Netanyahu is signaling that, you know, they're still keeping an eye on this and nothing's truly fully off the table just yet. I mean, he sounds very wary and reluctant at this point.
Well, that's because I think the terms of the ceasefire are either they haven't been disclosed. I'm not even sure they are known. I'm not even sure they've worked them out. They talk about negotiations essentially beginning tomorrow to talk about who gets what. I mean, if you're going to decide whether Hamas won or Israel won, Hamas was seeking a lifting of the embargo of the blockade. It's not going to get that. Israel will probably
it's insisting publicly, at least from its side, that it has gotten that.
It's not going to get it. It may get some cosmetic changes. The Israelis always leave a little at the edges, so it can hand over something. I mean, it can hand over some, you know, a little bit more easy to get in and out of Israel if you're a worker. But so that demand is not going to be met. The Israelis wanted an Egyptian guarantee that they would stop the smuggling. The reason that you have the rockets that reach Tel Aviv and Jerusalem is because under the new regime, Sinai has become a no man's land, and the smuggling of weapons has reached a pretty high level. The Israelis have to stop that, otherwise they're going to have to be another war in a few months because they cannot allow a buildup of the rockets. But they didn't get that, the Israelis. What they did get, if you look carefully at the statement from Obama, he says, we will work with Israel, we the United States, to prevent the smuggling. They didn't say Egypt. They obviously have to use Egypt because Egypt's in control. But that remains up in the air how much Egypt will do. So that's what the substance of the negotiations are going to be. And that'll determine whether or not there's going to be a renewal of the war. I think what's important, this is a very complicated game for Netanyahu. He was under tremendous pressure from the Israelis in the south and from the soldiers who were mobilized, had to leave their jobs and ended up in the mobilization to do something and do it now. And he decided he wouldn't, which is a political hit for him. But I think he did it as a way to tell Obama, I'll help you out here, I'll go easy, I'll pull back, because he understands that the big game is Iran. He doesn't want to blow his relationship with Obama over this.
We filed that complaint last week, and now it's in the hands of the Labor Board, and we'll let them sort that out and figure it out. We think what they're doing is illegal. They've been doing these kind of demonstrations for more than 30 days. But this week, like I said, we're focused like a laser on Black Friday, and we think it's going to be an awesome day.
And that was Wal-Mart spokesperson David Tovar. Now, here from the NLRB, a statement from the Director of Public Affairs. The NLRB Office of General Counsel is continuing to investigate the Wal-Mart charge filed in our Little Rock resident office last Friday, alleging illegal picketing at its stores by the United Food and Commercial Workers Union. Beginning Monday morning, staff from multiple regions have been taking affidavits from witnesses and sifting through numerous documents provided by Wal-Mart, as well as obtaining a response and evidence from the union. The legal issues, including questions about what constitutes picketing and whether the activity was aimed at gaining recognition for the union, are complex. I would not get between somebody who's been camped out waiting for their flat screen TV and the TVs on Friday. But it does bring up an important debate, Charles. I mean, you know, the rights of workers and whether it's time for the NLRB to step in or not. It hasn't made a decision. It may come tomorrow. It may come Friday.
Look, I agree with you. I think the legalities are fairly ambiguous and debatable, but I agree with you that surely as a matter of safety, I would not advise the picketers to get between the early morning shoppers tomorrow, well, Friday.
Midnight Thursday,
and the bargains, because those who in the past have found themselves in that no man's land, other shoppers and security guards, have not, as a general rule, come out intact. So that's just advice I give to somebody who cares about fellow human beings. As to the legalities, there are reasons why we have restrictions on these. There are picketing laws outside abortion clinics. You can be so near, There's a certain limit as to where you can go. I think there are reasons you have to have an ordered society. As to whether in principle you ought not be allowed to picket under these circumstances, I would agree with Kirsten. In general, you want to be more on the side of allowing free assembly and to be fairly circumscribed in how you restrict them.
They are happy with the consequences that follow. As Kirsten said, they have grievances to express, and they're hoping, to win on some of these issues. And so the way to get people's attention is to make it a big story, at a big holiday moment.
But it'll get them attention at the cost of sympathy. I mean, in the end, if you want to win hearts and minds, the union movement is in steep decline. The only growing sector is the public sector, which itself got crushed in Wisconsin and is being defeated elsewhere. So I think it's the kind of a desperate move. I wouldn't restrict them legally, but I think in the end, they know they're in a losing battle for public opinion, and this isn't going to help them.
This has been a Sunfish production.